Okay, it looks like we're streaming. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We have a expansive, questing, adventurous, record-keeping, knowledge-filled show today. I have a great guest on today. So her name is Emily Harrison. Emily is the founder, director of the Akashic Academy, a modern-day mystery school that is empowering humanity to find personal freedom through their Akashic records. By accessing the Akashic records, people can discover their soul mission and the root cause of physical and emotional disease, and learn to find unseen solutions to their most challenging life circumstance. Emily was named one of the 5 most innovative businesswomen by Entrepreneur magazine and has been featured on Gaia TV, MSN.com, HBO, Netflix, Thrive, the Huffington Post, and on stage at Harvard University. Emily was most recently featured on the NASDAQ billboard in Times Square for her innovative message of self-empowerment through the Akashic Records. Thank you for coming on, Emily.
Yeah, now the Sean Bond show. I'm so excited to be here with you. It's a real honor. I got to know you recently at the Full Disclosure Now conference, and we crossed paths just a little bit on social media before then, but it was such a pleasure to get to know you and to see you speak and to hear your mission and to have you sitting in on my talk. And it just felt like there was such a collision of mission and support in ways that we could collaborate with each other. So I'm excited that we finally get the chance to sit down and get to know each other, and I get to know your audience too. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, same. I'm excited. And for those out there, her presentation is really good. I got to see it. And yeah, for those that want to see it, it's online. You can get a ticket, fulldisclosuremovement.org, as well. We put a link in the description. I'm also I also have a presentation there on psionic self-defense and mastering and amplifying the positive ET visitation, getting rid of abduction. So yeah, check those out. They're really expansive. And can you, what wasn't in your bio, can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and your life and how you got into this journey in the Akashic Records, etc.?
Yes, I love sharing this story. So as you did share in my bio, I'm the founder and director of a modern day mystery school, the Akashic Academy, where my area of expertise is in the Akashic records, which is another thing that we have in common. I'm excited to we get to throw down about the Akashic records today and philosophy and how we use it. And I love that you keep using the word expansive because it really is. It's so expansive, right? But I didn't start out knowing the Akashic records or them really having, a presence in my life. I feel like I'm sure like many of us out there, a lot of lifetimes in this one lifetime. And before I began teaching others how to read their Akashic records, I was a Hollywood actress for 20 years. And before that, I grew up in really small town Missouri, where, I'm sure, again, like a lot of us, I felt subject and constrained of the societal paradigms. I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. Well, I say a Southern Baptist household. My mom was a Sunday school teacher, but my dad only went to church on Easter and on Christmas. So the household was definitely a little bit split. But that aspect of modern day religion didn't really work for me. But I grew up in this small town where that was what I had access to. And I went to college at Mizzou and wasn't really finding my way. Sean was just really like unenthusiastic about life and felt like I had lost, just a lot of my artistic vision. And I had a moment where I was driving home from class one day and I had I didn't have the words to call it a download at that point in time, but it was definitely a download. And I was at a stoplight. And when you're driving, you're using different brain waves. So I think I had gone into a little bit of a theta brainwave state, maybe. And I'm at this stoplight, and all of a sudden I had this epiphany moment where, Emily, if you're not inspired by your life and you don't like it, change it. Like, do something different. What would you want to do? And in that moment, I was 19 years old. What myself answered when I got that like God call, that source call, I was like, I want to go to Hollywood. So I literally pulled the plug on my small town life in Missouri. Like, I grew up in a town of 3,000 people, and decided I was going to Hollywood to become an actress. And I didn't really even have any acting experience. Maybe I did a couple school plays along the way, but I wasn't like a kid who was geeking out on, I want to be in the play, or put me in, the community theater, or I want to take drama classes. It sort of came out of nowhere. I realize now, though, the importance of storytelling and how powerfully we can inspire ourselves through story was a huge part of my soul energy, my soul essence. So I pull the plug on modern day life and I go to Hollywood, and I had some beginner's luck. I love the book The Alchemist. I talk about like when you're on mission and your purpose, right? And it's unfolding, you're going to have beginner's luck. Well, I had beginner's luck. I had man pretty quickly, and they got me auditions, but Sean, I sucked, man. I was much better in my head than I was in the audition room. So I realized that I needed to do things to really help me calm down and like meet myself in my greatness. Again, didn't have the words for it at that point in time, but I realized there was a gap there. So as I picked up practices like meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong, really studied the law of attraction and manifestation as well, it started working. And I started getting acting jobs right and left. And the more acting jobs that I would get, the more I would meditate. So the more acting jobs that I would get, and then the more I would meditate. And I got to this point where, yes, I was getting more acting jobs, but truthfully, it's a numbers game. I was also missing out on more jobs as well. Like, I was getting really great big auditions, but getting beat out by, Kate Beckinsale and Anna Paquin and Keira Knightley and, that all the name actresses. And I was also frustrated. And I was a mom of 3 young kids, and I was truthfully overwhelmed with what that was calling forward in me. And there was also shit in my marriage, trauma in my marriage that I didn't have the capacity, the emotional capacity to really deal with. So I was running from it. And I found solace in anything that had to do with quantum physics, metaphysics, shifting, healing, thinking about things differently, going into other dimensions. Like, you name it, I was immersed in it. And that was really where I found the relief in my life. And I remember I was outside gardening one day, and a neighbor comes hobbling by. And at this point in my life, I'm still like, I'm in this struggling phase of my motherhood and my marriage and my acting career, but I'm still like in this acting. That's my identity. I don't have this identity as healer or guru or teacher or even seeker really yet, right? But I want to, and I want to help people. So I'm out gardening, and my neighbor comes limping by. And I don't know if anybody lives in cities or you ever even lived in LA before, but here's what neighbors look like in LA. Hey, 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 you give you like that nod. You don't really talk to each other too much, right? So I didn't really know my neighbor, but I knew him from the walk in the hay. And so I say, hey, and he says, hey. And I say, hey, I haven't seen you in about 6 months. And he's limping, right? And he says, yeah, I fell and shattered my ankle and it's not healing very well. And so I said, well, do you want to come over for some energy healing? And as soon as it came out of my mouth, Sean, I was like, what did I just say? I am an actress. I am not an energy healer. God, I hope he says no up. And he goes, sure, let me go put my dog away. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, all right, you got this. I'm just act like an energy healer. So that's what I did. I acted like an energy healer. And I set him up and I propped his leg up out in, my garden lawn furniture. And I brought my iPad outside and I had these big Sony headphones and I put some solfeggio scale healing music on for him, right? And this tuning fork, I've had this for a long time. So I'm waving the tuning fork around his ankle. And I'm thinking, if my husband comes home right now, I'm going to have some major explaining to do. And then all of a sudden, my friend, he's got his eyes closed. His father, who had passed, came into my awareness. Just like my claircognizance, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, his dad is here. And I've seen enough episodes of Long Island Medium to know that I'm supposed to talk to the dad coming in, right? And so the dad comes in, and I'm a rookie. I don't exactly know how it works. So I talk in very like human, hey, what's your name? Right. So that's what I say. Hey, what's your name? And the message I get back, it's not super clear. I'm seeing in my mind the name Bob, like B-O-B, Bob, Bob, Bob. But then they say, but not Bob. They cross it out, but a J name. Thinking Bob, Bob, not Bob, but a J, short like Bob. Okay, whatever, Bob, not Bob. And then he says to me, I saved my son, like very valiantly, right? And I'm like, okay, Bob, not Bob. You saved his ankle shattered, and he's not, you did a shitty job, but okay, you saved him. And then the last image that I get in my mind, Sean, is an image of like two hands coming together. I see it in my clear vision. And then the next thing I know, the meditation's over, and my friend's taking the headphones off, and I'm trying to make sense of all these pieces. And so I just say to him, do you feel better? And he said, yeah, I think I do. And I'm like, great, bye. And I shoo him off home, and I go inside, and I'm going to the bathroom. I'm washing my hands, and Bob, not Bob, is there. And he's like, reach out to him. Please reach out to my son. Reach out to him and let him know I was here. So I'm like, okay. So I text my friend. I'm like, all right, I'm an actress. I'm not a medium. I'm an actress, but I do feel like your dad came through in that session and has some messages for you. And if you're open to hearing them, I'll share them with you. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll be right over. So he comes over, I make us coffee, we sit back down, and I'm like, okay, what was your dad's name? And he said, my dad's name was Alan. And I'm like, Alan. All right, well, I obviously got that one wrong because I was getting Bob, 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 not Bob, but J name, short like J. And my friend goes, oh, my dad's name was Alan J. J-A-Y. He went by his middle name. And it took us both back for a second. And then I said, all right, well, your dad insisted that he saved you. And I told him that he didn't do a very good job, but he insisted. And my friend said, all right, well, this is what happened. I'd been experiencing vertigo for a couple months, and it had gotten pretty bad, although I was getting better. And I was in a jewelry store, second story, like of a strip mall, and I started feeling it coming on again out of nowhere. So I went outside to get some air so I didn't collapse in the jewelry store. And where I fell, the paramedics found me. They said 2 more inches and you would have fallen down 2 flights of concrete stairs. I know. So then we were both like, okay, whoa. And then I shared with him that last vision of the two hands coming together. And at this point, he just started sobbing. And he said, Emily, my dad and I were estranged for about 30 years. But we did reconcile before he passed. And I was holding his hand when he died. And at that point, I'm sobbing too. And I realized, Sean, it was like a timeline shifted at that moment. I realized that there was no story that I could take part in Hollywood that was more inspiring than the story of human potential, of what we can turn on in ourselves. Because I do feel like we're all born psychic, but I wasn't a little kid who experienced a lot of like knowing that I was psychic and psychic phenomena and being psychic my whole life. I felt like it was something that it was a quest that I turned back on through commitment and devotion and practice and learning. And once we do, we can create methodology that others can do this as well. And they can turn on their skills and tap in and perceive beyond, what the five senses limits us to.
Feel the
And
same.
I wanted to hang a sign on my door, and I'm like, dude, what modality am I going to do? Because I love everything. And then I'm like, oh, Akashic Records, because the Akashic Records, as you know, as you also are an expert in this field, holds all intelligence, past, present, all possible futures. And once we learn to tap in and to utilize this, in my opinion, it is the most powerful tool for quantum advancement here on the planet.
Yep. Knowingness is powerful. You can solve any problem, answer any question, and then go deeper in piecing together, even with lack, solution to anything. So
Yes, yes,
great.
yes.
So yeah, wonderful. And yeah, we can, if you want, we can both open the Akashic record and we can answer from that greater level, back and forth things. And then any one on the stream, feel free to put your question in the chat and we'll bring it up and to answer those questions. So this will be a very high vibe conversation, and we're gonna go into deep stuff. So yeah, feel free to open it at your time. I'm gonna open mine.
Well, I'm curious, how did you come about the Akashic records? Have you always known how to read them, or when did they come into play in your life? I don't remember you talking specifically about that in your talk.
Yeah, mm, yeah, I love them. They're one of my favorite abilities. Knowingness. It opened kind of violently for me, not like the situation that was required for them. It was violent. Had various light and dark experiences and visitations by beings, angels, demons, attempted possession, ETs. Like I've even taken like psychedelic drugs, and my trips are not normal trips. They're like embrace a higher cosmic version of yourself, and then face all these problems that are limiting you, and then overcome the dragon, and then propel up into great light. And then all super fast recall. And then also a lot of things tried to kill me. I like shutting down my heart and sonic attack and death energy. So I had to learn very quickly what was coming at me. And then it's so like when like asking questions, it would start like a few minutes to absorb it all, and then each time I ask it gets shorter and shorter, and that with needing to do it fast or die made it so that I got it to the point where I can answer questions pretty much instantly, and translate any energy, emotions, emotional data coming at me. Something turned my emotional empathic body all the way up to where I could feel everything super deeply, but they did it so that they could then dump negative energy on me, and it felt torturous. So then I got rid of them, and it still remained on like at full intensity, and then had to learn how to filter out any negative energy from coming in. And then I became super sensitive to anything, and then gained psychometry, and I could read objects and people and biophotons emitting off people. Then went into reading localized data in light body library in my heart and people's hearts and their data for healing. As I had to learn a lot of healing methods for myself, so I was able to release pain over distance and then negative emotion, and get rid of entity problems, and then I could use biofeedback to get results. And then it went into a greater and greater heart expansion of any emotional data that would come to me with the packets of information. And then eventually it got to where I expanded past just recorded data, DNA records, soul data, and then I went into the field of where all information is stored in various formats, such as in the air, atoms, light, fractally, the crystalline formats of the earth, and crystals that I would hold, and I'd enter different mystery schools of data accumulation and then downloading books into the internal library of the heart. And I just kept like seeing, reading all amplifying the ability by getting rid of data and heaviness, and
Yes.
until it was all very clear and the emotional body was clearer. And then with that came faster, greater translation and perception. And I mainly, because I know I read and I learned about Akashic record reading, multiple people. I made lots of friends that do it. I learned their methods. Um, Different people have different methods. It's really interesting, and I like to see the different data ways people angle it. So I think it's all interesting. Though so I've also met people that are challenged with it, and sometimes they read stuff that isn't entirely true, which I'm not judgmental at, but it made me want to, instead of looking at history, like more into data that's you can get results on and you can test and find evidence for. Though I do constantly read into stuff that you can't prove, so because it's really interesting, but it does. So I don't care what people. I want to present information that's very useful.
Yes.
Because I know some people. I don't want to be an arbiter of truth. I don't
Right.
want to be seen as, like a guru or anything. But I want to eventually see a future where lots of people are reading the Akashic record and they all like get back to each other and check each other's work and
Yes.
improve the ability.
Yes. Yes. Woo, we're gonna have fun today. All right, so
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. Did you want me to open the records the way?
Yeah, go. Yeah, open your records, I'll open mine.
Okay. Do you want me to do it silently?
You can do whatever you want. You feel free, whatever you're willing to share with the audience. I'm sure they'll learn a lot from you.
Well, I don't mind taking them through the meditation where they can open theirs too. All right, so if you
Sure.
go open yours as well, I'm gonna invite you
Yeah.
to sit up nice and straight. I'm sitting crisscross applesauce. So if you're sitting like that, feel all four corners of your sit bones on the chair. If you're sitting with your feet on the ground, feel all four corners of your feet connected to the floor. Sit up nice and straight, elongate the spine, tuck the tailbone and the chin under, and lay the palms up and open in a receptive position. Take some nice, deep, soothing breaths. Deep breath in, create space. Take another deep breath in, call light into your body. Good. See if you can notice yourself as a being of light. Good. Take a third deep breath in. Call your consciousness into the now moment. Deep breath in. Letting go of everything that happened before this moment and everything that you still get to show up to today. Arriving at the end of that breath, fully present in the now. Turning your awareness inward, activating the crystalline tube of light that runs up and down your spine. Good, nice deep breath in with your next exhale, with your intention, with your imagination, sending the crystalline tube of light down into the core of Mother Earth, anchoring into the core, the crystalline core center of the planet. Good, focusing again on the crystalline tube of light, this time sending it out the top of your head, all the way up through the layers of space and time, exiting the universe, exiting the multiverse. Deep inhale as you anchor into the Akash. And as you exhale, setting an intention that your body will acclimate to this high frequency energy. And when you're ready, you can activate the flow of energy. You're going to experience a spiraling energy flowing up from Mother Earth, the energy of creativity, the energy of embodiment, the energy of your divinity as it is expressed in physical form, being activated with the perfect divine blueprints and templates of the new earth. This energy flows up from the core of Gaia, spiraling up through the crystalline tube of light, and spiraling down from the Akash is the infinite wisdom and intelligence to illuminate through your being divine ideas, emotions, and behaviors that are in alignment to that of your highest potential timeline, and that will bring in the templates of the new earth. Feel these energies spiraling now, the intelligence spiraling down from the Akash, the embodiment, bringing online the activity of your Christic consciousness DNA, spiraling upwards, activating your vessel to hold the frequencies of heaven on earth, dropping the consciousness from the mind into the heart. We'll sound the 5 sacred ohms. With this ohm, I relax my body. Ah. With this ohm, I relax my mind. Ah. With this ohm, I release my ego. Ah. With this Om, I call in the light. Ah. With this Om, I open the Akashic records of Emily Suzanne Harrison. Ah. The records are now open.
Big shifts. Oh, thank you for doing that for the audience.
Yeah, there's
they'll learn more
definitely
from this show.
channeling that came in. It doesn't have to be that dramatic, guys, by the way, getting into the Akashic records. It's all about a vibrational match, right? We want to become a vibrational match to unconditional love and zero judgment. But for the purpose of taking a big group into that space today, you guys did get a little of the theatrics. Probably doesn't surprise you with my history as an actress. But it doesn't have to look the same way. It doesn't have to look the same way for any one of us. Right? Cool.
Okay. Yeah, there's many methods, and it amplifies with faith and belief, and a method process that gets you there and surrounds you with your guides, support. There's a lot of layers that you can constantly add to the method that make it even more empowered and successful, especially with the big questions that a lot of things might be threatened by, because different people have different perceptions, but at least in mine, God, source, earth, they're not infallible. They also take on big weights, and they've jumped on grenades for us. So like the Kasha, the space, the collective consciousness of the record holders, they take on wounds. A lot of darkness wants to invade into them. They want to steal knowingness. They don't earn it. So we can also go into how to help the Akashic, and which gives us upgrades, how to combine our forces together.
Yes.
And how everyone out there can also help Kasha, and then that gives you opportunity to earn more tech with the operation of the ability and bringing it to a greater state of being healed, purified, empowered.
Yes.
So yeah,
Oh.
we can go into that if you want to, but we can go into a lot of subjects.
I know.
And thank you for talking at the next this conference. Are you also going to the next conference?
No, I'm not going to be going to the next conference, unfortunately.
Are you going to be doing any other events that you want people to know about?
Well, I take let's see, what should I call them? There's a prerequisite to my big in-person event every year, and that is they have to have gone through training in the Akashic records. But every year over Lionsgate, I take a group of seekers who have gone through my Learn Through the Akashic Records training into a mystical vortex activation to activate the light codes that come in over Lionsgate. And the shift and change that I see in my client's life that year after going to Mount Shasta is just really huge. The goal, the intention that we are inviting in for this galactic event every year is clarity around the soul mission. What does the path look like for me? And that path unfolds for them, and they begin to tap into it, get in touch with it. Like everybody goes home with a map in their hands of in terms of what this timeline and what they've downloaded looks like. And so that is an event that we do every year that runs into the conference in Florida just a little too closely for me. So I won't be coming to Florida this year.
No problem. Yeah, we'll ask you then to show like other things that you got going on that you like people know about. How is the consciousness of the Akashic record been for you in the feeling of it? And how would you describe the Akashic record? Because other people have different ways to define it and how it works. How would you describe it?
Well, the first thing that I noticed that you asked was like, how does it feel for me? And the specific language that came through, I'm flashing back to being in my training and remembering, I felt like I was home, Sean. There was just a part of me that felt like I was home. And so many of my students that experience this as well, they use the exact same languaging. And even sometimes clients, I take them into the records and I say, how does that feel for them? They say, oh, I feel like I'm home. So there's definitely a familiarity about it. There's like a comfortability that I had in that space. There was a belonging that I noticed from the very beginning. Now, how the Akashic records presented in my awareness has shifted and changed over the times that I've done it. First, like a lot of people, I imagined a library. I mean, just like and I find that our relationship with the records grows the more we actually create our own unique relationship with it, regardless of what it looks like to anybody else. But I went with the traditional choice of the library at first. That made sense. You're going into the library, you pull the files down, right? And then I think like now it's become more of you use languaging, like when you were sharing what your experience is like, I don't use quite as galactic languaging. I feel like it's practical. Like I am the practical girl. I'm gonna like we're gonna figure out how to apply this step by step for people who haven't had necessarily the awareness of the advanced travel and had to work like in that level of intensity that you have. But bringing it back down to the practicality, like after I got comfortable with the library aspect of it, I think it just turned into kind of an instantaneous exchange of energy. And what I recognize now is that it's a symphony of my clairs working. And this is something when you ask people about what I have going on. One thing I have going on is I want to give a free gift to everybody out there, and we'll make sure that you have the links for this. But it's really about breaking down your intuition and understanding really specifically how your clairs work so then they can start working together. So remember when I said I saw Bob, like the name Bob? I'm seeing the letters B-O-B. That's clairvoyance. That's my inner vision, right? Now, when I say all of a sudden I felt the presence of his dad who had passed come in, that's not my clairvoyance, my clear inner vision. That's more my clairsentience, like I feel it. Maybe it could also be claircognizance. Sometimes it's a little tough to tell the difference, right? Claircognizance, all of a sudden there's a knowingness of something.
Yeah, clear knowing, clear
right?
cognitive.
Then there's also clairaudience, clear hearing. A lot of times when I get into the channeling mode, like there was some channeling that came in as we were opening the records, I would say that feels the most like clairaudience to me. It's almost like there's just a feed running in my ear. And whatever's coming out's coming out. I can't replay it. I can't say it again for you. It's just the feed, it's like the feed shuts off, right? So for me now, it's more isolating the clairs and just waiting for an awareness of a vision to come forward or to hear the feed start coming, or it's a combination of them all, but it doesn't look so structured like the library. It's more just like instantaneous impressions in my imagination that I'm able to pick up on and to translate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, same. That's one of my greater clears with the knowingness expansion. It's one of my knowingness. It's very heart-based, in like the field of expansion of the electromagnetic field, how safe it feels, how many attachments is coming in and like compressing it versus it being able to be resilient and pushed out. And the clearer the emotion body is, and the more the heart field energy is generating, the better it is, I find. And I think that I agree with you. A lot of this is from the base foundation strengthened by the senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight, and then tactile as well. And then combining them all as one, because they all ultimately one, but the branches of them so that they're working well and grown like a garden. With, if you don't have a lot of the strength of one, you have whatever the opposite is, suppressing. So you have to understand what that is, that block that's there, and then turn it into what it's meant to be, as or transmuted or
Alchemy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Great. Yeah, turn it into the garden of happiness or
Yeah, find the gift
knowingness.
within the wound, right? It's the gift within the wound. Once we discover the gift within the wound, then we are able to transmute anything like the heaviness into its higher octave, from the shadow form into its higher octave.
Exactly. I find with that, it's like sights, the blindness or anti-sights, like the antiverse version of any energy. I usually find there is something. So like with knowingness, anti-knowingness, or truth, anti-truth, or lies. A lot of the predators that come after the Akashic record and stop the ability from thriving on this planet, which it should be, and it has been. And there are some ET species that it's very potent on their planet to where you're just born and you're good at it. And I think that we can get this planet to that level because it's a very powerful library. So like resolving the layers of energy that are coming at us, and then why they're coming at us, and going to their core of their wound. So they, we're like healing a wounded baby bird or baby or parasite and transforming it into a symbiotic being, and then bringing it to the core of what it needs, that love and healing, so that it doesn't need to steal anymore and it doesn't do harm. Deception, lie, parasite, predators, rewriters of history, the holders of history as they've rewritten it, big predators like and things that have been turned against us in some pit against each other, Machiavellism, divide and conquer. Like I think I've read there like the antiverse has like a predatory system. It acts like the lymphatic system for our universe. They're like usually born into any universe that has a predator invading into this universe. It's the antiverse attempts to capture it and put it there and put it under its dominating system. So it's positive ultimately. It makes things less work, but they get overwhelmed and then they get pit against us. So you have a lot of people have their anti-self pit against them or something like that. So like I find there's an anti-Akashic record that's being pit against the Akashic record, annoyingly, as well as anti-prime creator of the galaxy, creator of the universe, and they're wounded and they're fractured from taking on wounds from invasions to protect the younger spirits. And their parts and pieces and authority have been stolen and are used to pit against each other continuously and suppress each other from bleeding over to each other. And a lot of the deception, lie, energy, anti-knowing, anti-Akashic record is bleeding over from that. And things that make up our belief system tree, our knowledge tree, our like knowledge field of what we know at any given time in the conscious mind, perception, projection and reception has attachment. And detachment is the pathway to enlightenment in Buddhism and Hinduism. As we get to purer states of being, becomes its greatest self, and the truth light underlines all that, because it just is in the connection of all things when it's pure. And so there's when we're pruning that belief system tree and bringing it to closeness with truth and knowingness, we find that the beliefs that aren't true are parasitic and they steal energy. And the truth generates energy. It's light. It's vibrant. It feels more intense and full of energy. So as we navigate those threads of truth or those dots of light of truth or streams of knowingness or whatever way a person receives this, they can navigate and figure out what is the attachment held by the programming externally that's attached to the ego of what we think we know versus the truth that stands up and is strong and can't be broken.
Yes, a hope.
So yeah, we can start a process of teaching people how do they help the Akasha. How do you think people can help the Akasha so that as we're helping them, the Akasha then rewards those people and then the Akasha grows in everyone's hearts?
No, I mean, the Akash is naturally for me a field that we want to mine because there's just beauty there, right? I use that word gently because I know that there's a perspective of taking from the earth right now that I don't want to tap into, that I want to tap into like the richness of this metaphor, right? And that is to have a relationship with the Akash. Learn to read the Akash. The Akash will begin to reveal self-knowledge. That's where you'll start with this energy. And that wisdom is so valuable, to understand who you are, why you incarnated here, why you chose a lot of the difficult circumstances that you did, where your trauma is, why you're hanging on to it, what you need to do to shift it, what uh, giving yourself the permission to say, what does life look like without my trauma, and reimagine yourself. So the first things that I talked about, understanding the why you do this, why you do that, the why, that's the downloading of intelligence from the Akash. We're also uploading, so we're not just mining and taking from the Akash, but we're giving back. We are growing and expanding our consciousness. We're bringing light into ourselves and into our own darkness, and saying, oh, I see where I can course correct, right? And then we upload new possibility to humanity. So when you have thoughts of a new perfect soulmate relationship that you want to manifest and be in and experience, or a new level of wealth and freedom and security for yourself, or a new creative project that you want to tap into, we are uploading intelligence and possibility to the Akash in those moments of our thoughts in that way. And so to recognize that we have this relationship and this resource that we get to utilize. And then I think it's simply about understanding our relationship and participation with it. I think that's how we enrich it, is realize every time I have a thought of, ooh, I want to create a retreat, I want to take people to Mount Shasta over astrological gateways, and I want to take them into secret vortexes, and I want to say prayers and chants and do things that the ancients did to activate, and then ask them questions and have them journal and envision what their greatest future looks like. Yes, right? Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do it back and forth with you where we can both ask each other amplified questions, and then when people's questions start coming in more, we can both answer them. So I'll have you answer the question first in the audience, and then we'll go. Yeah, and we have one question in the audience, so we'll do that first, and get people rolling. Come on, get your questions
Yeah,
up. Okay,
fire it up,
so
guys.
from the Peaceful Penguin. Are the Akashic records any relation to the halls of Amenti? What would you like to say on that?
I get that one a lot. I do feel like that they are connected, and here's how the guides have shown me that they are connected. Um, when I think of halls of Amenti, I think of the chambers underneath the Sphinx and more physical location of records and where they were kept here on this planet. And then I also think of the halls of Amenti is just like they go down far under the earth and they go down deep, then they're like high above the earth plane as well. They also hold more galactic records for me, and um starseed ancestry, sometimes past life information. While I look at the Akashic records as closer, like almost as dimensional layers in closeness to the earth, to our modern day life, and to how I use them. So the Akashic records for me are very, very practical. And they hold a lot of the practical knowledge that I need to understand my own life, my patterns, to um, continue to grow and evolve. Whereas like the halls of Amenti for me, they're just like they're this further layer out that holds uh, maybe I would just call it more galactic information, hold information into the multiverse, hold information into yeah, I would just say like the multiverse.
Like that. Oh,
What do you think? What's your answer to
my
that?
computer is frying. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting glitched out. Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, whatever. I can't see you, can't see the screen. Great. But at least I'm somehow still here. So tell me if I get booted out. Oh, I'm back in. Oh, okay. Just make. Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. My God. Yeah, we're getting some interference. Let me just make sure that everything is okay with the stream real quick. Because yeah, but you can keep going with that answer. I'm just gonna make sure because that
Dude,
is
I
messed
feel like
up.
I stumbled through that one so much. I get it a lot, and it's yeah. Honestly, I don't really love my answer. It's not really. That's why I'm like, what do you have to say, Sean?
I liked your answer. It was good. Um, I'm just making sure that the stream's still going and all my internet's not fried out. But somehow I'm still on with you, so that's interesting. Um, but yeah, we're getting some interference. Something doesn't want us to talk. Well, it's great. So we can tune into what they don't want us to say, and then we can say it. So yeah, go ahead and do your clearing stuff, and
Yeah.
maybe we can solve that problem. Yeah. So with the halls of Amenti, well, I'm gonna see if I can make sure the stream's going. Mostly you'll hear about that topic in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth
Yeah.
and some stuff with Egyptian tech. It's used as a vision questing arena, hallways of doors and pathways that people can meet beings, get granted through a mystery school and go further in through the Egyptian mystery school of various temples, such as the Sphinx or uh, places that are in ley line, places of power and grid systems that have deep knowledge and knowingness expansion, connection to the Earth Library, a lot going into deep underground structure, pathway, hallways, temples. There are places that connect continents under the ground, and some like the Cygnus code will go into if you watch that movie. There's a temple that keeps going and they have not explored it fully all the way. There's also a layer to the astral, like an etheric ocean or plasma kind of Apsu concept of creation and what comes into being and what is seen. So it's kind of a pathway, though. There are things that would take heed and caution with this. Some people I've heard don't go to the halls of Amenti. I don't think they fully understand what it is, and they probably experienced a hijacked version of it or something that brought them to the fear. It's a vision pathway, so it shouldn't be limited to any particular thing. It though as specific places, if you were to call to with that, they would be caretaked by like gods and beings of like the Egyptian gods, the Anunnaki, higher dimensional beings. So there are places that are also with the astral you want to be careful with. So you want to make your space into tapping to a type of hallway of doors, nexus point in your mind, and then you build up in structure and safety
Yes.
to be able to go outward to places other than yourself and rooms having to do with you. And you can meet beings, and some of those beings, will attack you. There's a lot going on in the astral, but if
There,
you have the abilities, you can make yourself feel safe and be safe and counter anything coming at you, and then you can explore more, which is what we're meant to do. So I wouldn't like throw the baby out with the bathwater, because it leads to greater libraries held in the earth, in the various realms, and then connects cosmically with other places. So it's like a mystery school that keeps going, that will teach you many, many things.
Yeah, that's cool. I loved your explanation. That was a lot like what I brought in, but just completely different vocabulary. I'm also getting a ping for people who want to explore out there in the astral space. One thing that I'm hearing right now that can really keep you safe is work on self-love, work on radical self-acceptance. Okay, because the more you vibrate to a frequency of true unconditional love, uh, that's the safest vehicle we can ever be in, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm gonna.
Right. But when we go out and we've got insecurities or unresolved traumas and we've got vulnerabilities, they're vulnerabilities, right? But if we love ourselves unconditionally and fear, nothing is vulnerable in your life. If you love yourself truly unconditionally, vulnerability ceases. And of course, vulnerability is such a beautiful thing that connects us as human. I mean, vulnerability as susceptibility to distortion. You guys understand the difference? Right? So when we love ourselves so unconditionally like that, we're going to create powerful armor that doesn't create the susceptibility to distortion in the same way when we're out in the astral field.
Yeah, and being open while also like, I found a lot of the polarity systems of existence, and like people say being open versus being closed, that I've found you can master both and then also do them at the same time. Though you want to define what you're open to and what you're closed to. And it's more about loving detachment, and you can detach from everything, and while going within, connect to everything through the filter of unconditional love,
Yeah. Yeah.
which expands you to the library and knowingness of everything. And that's the secret mastery of empathy. But you also got to let go of all the illusional, like, things trying to dump shit onto you version of empathy that's, not good for people. Because there's two versions of it. And yeah, my internet's or something is deeply hacking my computer or something. Because I cannot see anything going on other than Zoom. But on my phone says Zoom is good, and Facebook seems to still be going on. So whatever, it's still working.
We'll just keep
So
rocking and rolling.
yeah, yeah. I'll read the stuff off my phone. I'll
Okay.
see if I can get that up. But yeah, great. We're gonna be rocking and rolling. So another question coming in. Okay, let's see here. Which aliens are very connected to music? And then the question mark, The Lyrans by Jeremy C. Question mark.
Cool.
If you want to.
Yeah, I think definitely the Lyrans are one that I associate with a lot of music. Pleiadians as well. I feel like the Arcturians are coming forward and taking some credit for, like, I usually think of the Arcturians as technology and a lot of times medical and healing technologies for me. But it makes sense how math and science and technology are connected in that way. And then I'm also just like, music is so special. Like, sound does not formulate and reverberate in all dimensions in the same way that it does in the third dimension. Sound creates. It's the primordial creation tool. And we get to experience it in such a just unique, magnificent way here. And I just wanted to just bring awareness to one of the cool things that makes Earth a destination planet, because I know there's a lot of shit going on here right now, y'all. But it is important to take a look around outside. Like, what do we appreciate about this third dimensional experience, this reality? Because we don't have our bodies, our physical bodies in all the other dimensions. We don't have music in all the other dimensions. So just to remember those things and love that about this incarnation.
Nice. Love that answer. Yeah, I try to stay away from names for different species, because you can translate something, but a lot of the times it's other people will, it doesn't mean anything until most people will like assign like a star based on the English term of like, oh, over there. So we can use that though, at least for now. So, but then you can also download the light language or the soul name of the species or going deeper. So, and then also the translation is important if people want to know, like, what does that translate to English? It will usually be a sense. That's what I do because like the word doesn't really mean anything. Um, anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of races. So every race, I mean, they'll deal with sound and they have a orchestra going on in their body, a frequency of their own music that adds to the collective uh, musical orchestra of the universe. So that's a music. The species that go into the mammalian brain of states of play and emotionality and creativity in the right brain and other, other spectrums of greater intellectual creativity and understanding of how sacred geometry linguistics, how frequency modulation, cymatics, incantation, modulation, and acoustic technology works are the ones that advance highly in music, or if they're just wanting to have a good time and they're emotional. So those the emotional and the understanding of that are the beings that go into those angelics, higher dimensionals, especially past fifth dimensional, going upward. There's a greater understanding of sound and what it does in carrying waves. Sound can carry data, lights, and many different types of energy. And with the cymatic understanding of things, there's like a group of Tibetan monks that are able to get like 50 people together and they all make a sound wave. They're able to levitate an object, as we know with acoustic levitation. The didgeridoo, if you put a little piece of paper under it, it makes the piece of paper levitate under it. There's all types of things you can do with sound that's very mystical. And even some species have taken it way beyond what our understanding is, where it can summon, teleport, the magical incantations like are crazy. The languages in the sacred geometry languages are very, you can get them very powerful. There are certain universes that are their whole thing is about sound, and some even go to the origin concept of what sound is and waves and the perception of the ears and the full, because also the full body is an ear, and there's little organs in at least the humans that have, they're called the saccules, which are shared with dolphins that can interpret ultrasonic frequencies. There's some deep things with the origin of what an ear is, like similar to an eye, energetically in perception, like if somebody were to dream it, or actually, how do you hear with your dreaming body kind of thing? So you can connect with that in your soul, and especially if you experience that. And this body is an instrument itself, and you can tune that greatly. Okay, I'll go to another question. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm not on this computer. Okay, okay. Should one ask permission to enter their Akashic records?
Not to enter your own Akashic records, but if you're going to read for somebody else, you definitely want to ask permission. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you always want to be respectful with others, and even if you're overpowered in telepathy, you can make rewards and you can turn down the knobs on things, and
Yep.
you shouldn't just like pry into other people's business. It can cause karma.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say you'll pay the karmic price. Like it will ripple back around if you do that. I also don't think that you can guarantee the information is correct. Like you talked about correctness. There's interpretation that can wobble, correctness, and there's also, like, if you usurp permission, you might,
Yeah.
there can be a distortion. That's where that distorted Akash can come in. But there's always ways that you can ask around the question, or like rather than opening the Akashic records of the person, you can say, you open your own records and say, how can I best help this person? What is my soul contract with this person? What do I need to learn from this lesson? Right? And then there's another thing that was popping into my field. Oh, the guides did also want to say, public domain, things that are public domain, you can open the records of, like the Bible, for example. Everything has an Akashic record. So if it's public domain like the Bible or planet Earth, you can open those Akashic records. Yeah, and then just be creative about how you ask the question so that you're taking full responsibility and seeking for yourself and your own highest good rather than being nosy. Being nosy not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you want to make a ceremony for opening the records regardless, because there is a difference between just ready knowingness and translating from the field versus the Akashic. And from my experience, it costs, if you're not like generating tons of the energy needed to maintain and open and protect the records that is anchored to your body, then you're probably calling upon a guardian, lord, teacher, the Akashic self to support you in doing that. And it costs energy for them. As it's open, things want to penetrate into it. Things want to hack into it, want to mess with it so that you get a different perception, as well as steal your information that you're receiving. Evil can't do this. They have to steal this stuff. They didn't. So it's like hold the line, and that's why also you want to be respectful and thank them, and make sure you close at the end. And if you forget, send the closing back in time, because you know if you do that too often, they're not going to like you too much about that. Yeah, and then with that usually comes, what are you wanting to do? What do you want to connect with? And then it goes into the process of asking permission. You gotta if it's information that's affects you, there will always be certain types of what you're allowed, what's filtered, what you've earned in authority, and it's like what you're cleared for, because there is data that is very far reaching.
Yes.
And it threatens civilizations, and it's not, people aren't ready for it. It could threaten things. If it falls in the wrong hands, it can harm a lot of beings. And there is energy that, like with anti-Akashic record, that camouflages Akasha. And so, and there are predators that try to hack into your Akasha, try to gain data on you. Most predators, entities, don't know who you are when you're born. If you're giving off rare energy and you have rare DNA, that's mostly what they know about you. If you have past life bleeding over, you have ancient off-world ancestor ETs visiting you, they'll get more of a pattern. But not that many predators, but the top predators have hacked into the Akasha. It's not super easy. They have a big security system. So it has to be like a big source predator that's been able to do that. And they're like acting like big brother around, trying to scan everyone's thoughts and shit. But there are defenses against them, but they're also trying to defend against you reading their record and discovering them, so that you get rid of them off the planet. There's a lot of, King of the Hill battles trying to keep this planet under lock and key, while a lot of the light force are incarnating here to resolve that, right? Yeah, but and then we can go into, once we're done with a bunch of the questions, go into deeper meaning of how we can heal the record. We might have to do another show later, of course. I do have to go in a bit. Okay, so yeah. So I'll ask you a question too.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a nice one. So I often like looking at the different timelines for what we can do to bring about, everyone's like looking for the great awakening and like a greater paradise, and how to get us to that timeline that's heaven on earth. to like get there, I see a lot of like is the empowerment of the individuals, the planet, the realm to where people have support everywhere to generate these energies to support both the Akasha, their greater abilities they learn in past lives, and like super psychics being born everywhere. Do you see a timeline like that? And what do you see in the difference of now and then that is needed to get to that point and bring it in closer and faster? And you feel free to answer however you want, because every time I look at it, it brings more to the equation.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for asking, and just the acknowledgement that we're in really exciting times where these conversations accelerate the timelines tremendously, I feel like. And it's one of the biggest things that we can do is keep each other inspired, keep the planet inspired, keep our audiences inspired, and recognizing that the vibrational frequency that each one of us are putting off in every single moment, we're creating the future right now. The infinite now, like it's happening right now. So all of the thought forms and that we're tapping into of what it could look like, and the distortion of once we get outside of the now, right? That's where we lose the majority of our power. So plugging into fear, we lose our power. Where we tap back into it, jump back into your body, be nice to yourself, be nice to somebody around you. Take responsibility for your own thoughts, your own limiting thoughts, your own areas where you're angry, where you have unforgiveness, where you are vibrating at a stressful place. Because once you clean up your field, you will hold a frequency of tolerance, peace, and compassion. And that's what each of us need to learn to hold to usher the transition. Okay. I also think that there are practical things too. You guys, you got to know how to grow your own food. Super practical things like that. And you're also, we need to notice the areas where we resist connection with each other, with community, and rise up against that part of you, the part of you that wants to stay falsely connected to your friends and your family and your community through your device, right? And get in heart-to-heart frequency with each other. So that's really one of the fastest ways to increase the vibrational frequency of the planet, is heart-to-heart connection with human beings.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. I agree that. Yeah. So you think when we as a species get stabilized and strong, like out of the, like how, like besides the chakras as a system, I'll see the collective consciousness of humanity, the limiting forces try to push people down consciously into the root chakra of survival and prevent them from growing. And so there's individuals, as an individual, you can grow out of that into the heart, and then you expand your ability for sure. I agree with that completely. So do you believe that once people are stably strong, even whatever's coming at them in the heart, then that will bring about that timeline?
Yeah, honestly, everything shit's still gonna come at you guys. It's just gonna look different. It's gonna feel different, and you're gonna name it different. You're just not gonna call it shit anymore. You're gonna be looking at it through a slightly different perspective. You'd be like, hey, there's cotton candy flying through there, or whatever it is that we call it. It's all perspective. It's all perspective, right? And you know what I think? I don't think that the timelines are splitting or happening simultaneously. They're happening now. Heaven on earth is now. So when we look around and we name it and claim it in every way that we are not seeing its perfection happening around us now, we are missing it. So I think that's how we call it forward, is name it and claim it everywhere it is right now around us, right now in this moment. What are you grateful for? What are you in awe and amazement for? What do you claim as your truth and peace, power, and plenty for yourself? It's here. It's all around us. We just have to see it.
Yeah. So activating yourself get up resiliently to that heart chakra, just like transmuting all the blocks in survival, making yourself stable, bringing out your creative force, clearing your emotional body, your senses turned on, putting on your power, and fueling all the psychic sense of your body, building all that structure to support your heart so it feels safe enough to expand outward and grow, and you feel connected with everything while filtering and pushing out and loving detaching from what's not you, that's defined, the illusion, the Maya, the limitation, the negativity, and bring it to where even as they try to attach you, you transmute them into balance and light. And then with the heart again, it generates the Akashic energy, it generates the healing energy, it generates the love energy, it generates the truth energy and knowingness. So that's
Yeah.
all going to expand the Akashic. So definitely I agree with you when people get heart-centered. And you can do that even from wherever we're at, and it pulls you into that. But then again, the goal is to get it there resiliently, so you're there all the time as well. Here's another question.
Cool.
Are the Akashic records just accessible to one current stream? Are they also accessible to more of the multiversal stream version of yourself from James Wittels?
Okay, ask me again. Let's read it again.
Yeah, sure. Are the Akashic records just accessible to one's current stream? Are they also accessible to more of a multiverse stream version of yourself?
Okay, so what's his name?
James Whittakus.
James, the good question, James. What I think you're talking about is, for me, with the idea that's coming into my mind is the idea of like maybe an oversoul, and then we've got other aspects of ourself that are playing out parallel lives or parallel universes. I do feel like they're in this linearity, I might have made a word up there. We talk about past lives and future lives, but I really feel like they're all happening at the same time and they're happening simultaneously. So my experience with the Akashic records is we actually are not only accessing the Akash, like my Akash of Emily in this timeline right now, but I can also access parts of my or information that my multidimensional self can bring from another expression or embodiment. And I might look at that as like a past life or a future life or a parallel life or my Palladian self, or I don't have to put any label on it at all. I'm just pulling like the information is coming from non-locality because it's all coming from one mind anyway. But if you can, here's the thing, if you can ask the question, you can get the answer. Doesn't matter if it's coming from whatever label we put on it, our multidimensional self, the Pleiadian library, the, Akashic record, or blanking on what the Hall of Amenti, there we go, the Hall of Amenti, or wherever. I mean, it's coming from the Akash, which is ether, which is all around us, right? But the key is the right question, and the questions also are a protection mechanism, right? The records work by what's known as invitation only. So when Sean was talking about you need a ceremony, you need a ritual, you need something that there's some formality to recognizing I'm not just going to get a hit of information that's going to drop into my field. I'm consciously going seeking this. I'm asking it. Once I ask, the information can be revealed. And the more work that I do on myself to truly unconditional love myself and to clear all my karma, the more access I'm going to get, because the less chance I have of weaponizing it. See, when I truly love myself, that means that I'm going to love Sean, I'm going to love everybody. I'm going to see the God energy and love it and respect it and guard it at all costs and everything around me. So my quest for knowledge and my questions are not going to reflect any egoic charge that would potentially weaponize the intelligence. Make sense?
Yeah, and streams, there's different ways to gain knowingness, but it all kind of functions similarly through the heart, senses, sacral. clearing the emotional body. Stream reads you can get from multiple places, like channeling, guides, beings telepathic conversing with you, heart telepathy, messages you're receiving from the universe from various sources. But yeah, it'll come in various ways. You'll get information, you'll store it, the records internally. Your body library will record it. And then if the structure is working well, it should come into conscious mind. A lot of the conscious mind is limited by all these things attached to it, though. And as we go inward and we go to our purest, greatest state, then a lot of that comes out fuller. Okay, so here I got another question. Okay. What is the golden light? What I don't know if this is, I'll read this question and see if it makes sense. What is the golden live stream? It had a knowing of the whole universe and beyond. It was a live golden plasma stream of energy. Interesting. Have you heard of anything like that?
Yeah, I actually just studied, what was the actual name of this book? It was called Technologies of the Ascended Masters. It was channeled in from Valiant Thor, and it was based on Venusian energy and technology. And through this story of the universe and how the universe began, there was a central cosmic life wave, plasma wave, that came from galactic center that carried the different photons of consciousness that have landed in different places and then embodied and manifested through different timelines of consciousness and growth. But yeah, it's like one big blast that landed a lot of different places and then turned into a lot of different things, if I had to make it very kindergarten.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you yeah, like plasma, all states of matter are ultimately connected through invisible lines of force of quantum entanglement. Plasma is like one of those spectrums that is seen in visible light that then goes to unseen plasma and higher dimensional plasma, keeps going up, and that touches down. It is like a consciousness of all anchoring into all physical matter and etc. of the line of sight that we see in the spectrum of arena that we can interact with of a reality, but there's way more in any given space. And as you fractal up and you look at the map of the galaxy and the universe, you see storm patterns of lights and streams and webs and brain neurons and whole like orchestras of plasma. And that's like a streaming pattern river of energy and information and consciousness that then fractal branches out to all these different states of being, consciousness, and experience that have a way to hold information that links back and forth in a circuit to the record. Absolutely. Love it.
Mind
Great
blowing.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, and let's see. Okay, I'll just go ahead. Do you have any questions for me? And then we'll like end the stream soon.
Well, yeah, I would love to grab that link and share it with your audience. I just want to say, can I grab that real fast? I don't want
Yeah,
to.
sure.
I'm gonna
Do
ask
you
you
need to share a screen or anything?
No, I'm just gonna grab it really fast. Let me think of a question that I'm gonna ask you though. Um, hmm. Okay, so
It's hard to when between us, I know how it is. It's hard to come up with questions when you can answer them pretty much instantly.
well, I would love to know from your perspective, like what's the most important thing that we should be doing to guard our energy?
All right. So okay, lovely. Okay, are you talking about like in increasing density towards ascension or like a state of being of in happiness, bliss, and maintained safety of love and strength? What are you
That
talking?
one.
Okay, that one. Okay.
To what do you
Uh,
say? To maintain bliss and feelings of safety and strength?
all right. Yeah. So like where you feel good and it's like your whole day is better kind of thing.
Yeah, I want that one, please.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be done. So there's a lot of things different people make. So it's like keep adding to the list of the tools in your tool belt. Um, a lot of it would be going inward and detaching from the layers that we hold on to and the things that are attaching to us aggressively to keep us in a reality that they want to project onto us of what they want us to experience, the negativity, or they just want to steal if that's their motivation and incur, which can cause pain in itself. Um, so Okay, and I'll just like I'll also I know a lot of answers to this, but I'll like just ask the Akashic record. You got any new information? How about this?
Cool.
Uh, yeah. And what do you want? Okay. And how do people do that? Hmm. Okay. Yeah. And then what if they're in a state that's completely opposite of that? Drawing it, seeing it, hearing it, repeating. So it's like it has to do with being. They're even using that golden stream of light that's like the connection of the universe concept of that web. There's like you can imagine you're way bigger than your body. It's and they give me a bunch of information, so I got to translate it and the images of this. So it's you have this big cloud of light that extends past their body. There's places that you like to anchor that has your vault of secured property and energy, and then the surrounding field that has sensory data and monitors things and manages stuff. So that cloud is being received by the DNA antennas and the cell antennas and receptive cells and who you are, and you gotta make it so that you integrate more of that and it feels safe so that integrates and it's clear and bring more of that in. It's like receiving this blast of light as we fly through the universe and opening ourselves to that by getting rid of all that's not it. So wherever you're at, you acknowledge it, whether you're really not that versus the feeling of like getting close. Meditation or a ceremony or an activity that you love that helps amplify you get to that, and you can practice multiple of them and train them so they're really good. And then so that anything you do helps get you there in it's like mindfulness and being focused into you can imagine hear a firm voice, draw it out, write it, define it. What is that state of being that you want to be? And then you create all this understanding and data behind the definition of that. And then your goal is to become that. It's already deep inside you. So you're going to be like pulsing out the layers of attachment that aren't it and becoming one and integrating with that thing that's already deep inside you existing. And it's also like receiving more of you, which is the universe, and connecting to that, but also shifting your reality to where it's already that, already so, already healed, already in love, fully open and healed and blissed out harmony, and seeing it become that. And if you're really the opposite or far away from it, then it's the step in case to getting you there, and then making that ability so strengthens it. And then in meditation or whatever, it's a daily practice to see where you're at, and then see as the challenges come in, which are ultimately the weights that make you stronger in that ability, and that they're challenging you in the opposite polarity and what we learn from it, to where you train that ability to get there better and faster, and then eventually to where when you're there, you maintain it in strength and density so it pours out like love. You can turn into all these different things like safety, offense, defense, fortressing, protection bubbles, um loving detachment gets things faster, detached from things faster than they can attach. Destruction, if it's needed, like loving destruction. Flame of all attachment that just doesn't want to respect your rules and won't go away. And then love cure, loving, it's like a spreading virus kind of thing that spreads love and amplifies to everything attached to you, bringing those things to harmony, unity with boundaries as you're spreading a cure throughout the universe, as you're a trap of healing and empathy, that love that to those that are in lack of it, that, and then you bring unity with yourself of all lights, neutral and dark, in unity with you, where it sees you as a benefit and doesn't want to harm you anymore, to where you're in a state where there's no more war. That's kind of, and there's various methods you can do with that, and then you train each one, and then you build them on top of each other, and you set them all up as one. You have you amplify your faith, love, and gratitude in the
Yeah.
circuit of your greater self, to be able to do that all automatically all the time, and then you generate and have in high density capacity to support and fuel that state of being all the time, into
Nice.
where it's safe.
Thank you
Yeah,
for the transmission, Sean Bond. That was good. Thank
and
you.
thank you. So how can people reach you and get a hold of you?
Okay, so on Messenger, I sent you a link for the free training intuitive development. I just would encourage all of you, just download this training. Once you download it, you'll be on our email list. So you'll get reminders about the weekly shows that I do. We'll send you activations. And this training is so cool. This is the training that will teach you how to activate and supercharge your intuition in 15 seconds a day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat and also comments. So
Yeah.
what are they in for if they are interested in signing up for that kind of thing?
Well, this is a free training, so all you're in for is activation if you know, with this particular link. If you do want to talk about learning to read the Akashic records, you're in for accessing, you know, the archetype of the magician. Really, I mean, this is where we get to go on a quest of self-knowledge and transmute all of that dense karma that you're talking about, the pain, the trauma, the suffering, the things that we're holding on to that we still need healing from. And sometimes we don't even, it doesn't all come up at once, right? It's like you can't get all of your healing done in one good Reiki session or one good in any kind of a session, because we've got so many layers of it, right? So for people who want to learn to train in their records, they can learn to heal and release any of their karma and pain points that are coming up. And for friends and family, they can support friends and family in doing that. And then also tap into extraordinary genius, like you said. Once we clear enough of that density and we start vibrating very high, new ideas, new access points, new opportunities become available to us. So anybody who's looking for that quest, you want to learn, you
Beautiful.
want to learn how to read the records, but this is the place to start. Start with the free training. It's the best place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend her. She's very generous with her knowledge, so it's great. For those out there that want to learn the Akashic records, she's very skillful. Great presentation. Again, go to full disclosuremovement.org if you want to get the tickets. We'll have it in the description. And yeah, what are your website, your email?
TheAkashicAcademy.com is the website. Emily at theakashicacademy.com is my email.
Cool. And what social media is you on?
All of them. The Akashic Academy on all of them.
Okay,
LinkedIn,
excellent.
Facebook,
YouTube.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, all of them.
Cool. Yeah, go subscribe to her on YouTube. And do you have any other projects, workshops, teachings, and what are the things people usually call you for if they're getting a consultation?
So anybody who wants to have a reading and you want to tap into your Akashic records and have an experience calling forward your highest potential timeline, that's always an easy way to get your feet wet, you know, just to get in there and have a reading. And then there's opportunities to train and learn to read your Akashic records. And there are opportunities to start your own business. I mean, the academy, it's a full-on academy. You know, you get to go on a course of study to step into your highest potentiality. So I would encourage you guys, get immersed in the community. You know, I do a weekly show Akashic Answers with Emily every Wednesday at noon. Tune into the show, sign up for the free training. We'll start supporting you and sending you information that's helpful. And when you're ready to reach out, we're going to give you plenty of opportunity to if you just get plugged in.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans or adventures or journey like travel you're looking forward to, or events or conferences or books that you have in the
Yeah, well, we've got a trip coming up next month to Santa Cruz, sacred journey and ritual into the mountains, or mountains and forest area, really there in Santa Cruz. And Sean, I find that I love working with vortex energy. I've talked about going to Mount Shasta a couple times that we do every year. This Santa Cruz adventure is new. And what I find is so important that's happening there in Santa Cruz is it's almost like it's a preservation of the original blueprint of humanity. There is an artistry and sacred reverence held for our creativity and our imagination, ours meaning humans, there in this place, along with such tremendous community, soul connection, belonging, inclusion, like nowhere else I've experienced on the planet. And I'm so excited to take some of our advanced seekers into this portal to get that activation of love and artistry and imagination and community. We're going to take them on one of our special sacred journeys to activate that. So that's coming up soon in Santa Cruz too. Now there is a prerequisite to this training. So anybody who's feeling like, ooh, that might be me, reach out to me. Let's talk about for next year. Because there is a path that you need to follow before we take you into these really mystical, magical, expansive, astral experiences. But any of you who are interested, I would love to talk to you more about it. So just shoot me an email.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. And yeah, I'm Sean Bong, Sonic League, sonicleague.com, sonicleague@gmail.com, PSI was for Psi, and yeah, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, all the other social medias. You can reach me for consultations, healings, Akashic record reading, or unlocking dormant abilities, depossession, all that. And there's some products for teaching abilities, and we're doing journeys like Mexico, activate pyramids and place of power. You can gain your superpowers by giving it what it needs, feel safe to expand. And also go contact her for her journey, which sounds very beautiful. And thank you for doing that. Santa Cruz sounds interesting. I'd love to know more about it. We'll have to talk more about that. And yeah, for anyone out there that wants to hear more about this, learn more about Akashic Record, because we didn't have as much time now, but we might do in the future. So leave a comment, show Emily your love. Let us know if you want to see more of her on the show. Smash that like, subscribe to both our channels, share this with 5 friends or wherever else. Get this out to the world. People that you think would benefit from being upgraded with Akasha. This video for sure upgrades you. If you watch this, you're getting little brownie points for the Akasha to like you more and then unfold into your heart. So if you want that upgrade for some of your friends, spread it out to them. And yeah, contact her for her various things you can get a hold of to read the Akashic record, as well as me. And her course is really good for learning it. So hope everyone out there has a wonderful day and expansive knowingness, truth, and Akasha to you all.
Beautiful.
Anything else you would like to say to inspire the audience or leave them with?
The guy just saying, tune into your dreams right now. Lots of activation happening in dream time.